Okay, welcome back. I'm Scary Terry, and this guy,
Rock horror.
and we are Campfire Spookhouse. Today we are recording review for episode 29, which is Stephen King's It, Chapter one from director Andy Muschietti, written by Chase Palmer, Corey Fukunaga, and Gary Doberman. It was released on September 8th, 2017. It was produced by Roy Lee, Dan Lin, and Seth Graham-Smith, as well as David Katzenberg and Barbara Muschietti. And it starred Jaden Martell as William Bill Densborough, Bill Skarsgard as Pennywise the Dancing Clown, Sophia Lillis as Beverly Bev Marsh, Finn Wolfhard as Richie Rich Tozier, Chosen Jacobs as Michael Mike Hanlon, Jack Dylan Grazer as Edward Eddie Kasprak, Wyatt Olef as Stanley Stan Uris, Nicholas Hamilton as Henry Bowers, the psychopath, Jeremy Ray Taylor as Benjamin Ben Hanscom, Jackson Robert Smith as Georgie Denbrough, Owen Teague as Patrick Hochstetter, Henry's friend, and Stephen Bogart as Alvin Marsh, Beverly's father. And the description is, in the summer of 1989, a group of bullied kids band together to destroy a shape-shifting monster which disguises itself as a clown and preys on the children of Derry, their small Maine town. It was shot on a budget of $35 to $40 million, and its box office return was $704.2 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, big success. So, this movie, when I compare it to that of the miniseries with Tim Curry from 1990, I just have so much better things to say about this because the execution was much better. The story seemed to have delved much deeper than the miniseries. I also feel like bigger budget, they could do more with the movie as opposed to a miniseries with what they had. So it just looked better, the aesthetic of it.
Yeah.
The performances were much more believable this time around. So great casting. Really enjoyed the music. The direction was phenomenal. I like the camera angles. I think this movie overall, just as a whole, being just the first chapter, was much, much better than the miniseries. And I do think, and maybe it's just because of modern time, but Bill Skarsgard's performance of Pennywise was a lot more intimidating and menacing. He wasn't trying as hard to be funny or comical like Tim Curry's character was. And I don't think Tim Curry was intending to be that way. I think that the script itself that he was given probably tried to make it seem more for one-liners or jokes, but a lot more menacing and intimidating than Tim Curry. However, as a kid, I was afraid of the miniseries because that was the first one that I watched.
Well, I think it's a product of its time, right?
And absolutely.
Same goes for this particular movie. First of all, it's a film as opposed to a miniseries. So the way that you shoot a miniseries is going to be different than a film.
True.
So something like the pacing.
Yeah.
One of the things I recall about the miniseries is that it felt long at times, whereas this film, although it was long, it didn't feel long, and that's because it had better pacing.
It did.
Overall, it's just as you said, it's a better executed film. Granted, they had, was it like 30 years as a point of reference
Yes, true.
to make a better film. Well, not 30, but almost.
Yep.
So, I think that, I don't know, for me, I think it does what the first one did as far as the impact it made.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch it as a kid, but I just remember how people were really affected by it.
Right.
Growing up as making a reference is one of the reasons it's the new kids that would have watched it, but also people nostalgic because they watched the miniseries as kids.
Yeah.
Like all of those things combined, and then just it being like a good film,
Right.
a good horror film. All of those things combined equals the 700 million, right?
Right.
Since then, there have been other clown or clown-related things, but this was the OG.
Yes.
So it being the OG and having that history, I think all of that stuff comes into play. But it has that history because of the miniseries. So for me, I kind of put things in the time that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's this huge gap between the two. Once again, this is just, first of all, it's a film, and it's executed well.
Yeah.
So I believe that this current iteration of it was really good.
It was.
There were no parts that made me question where they were going with it, or what was happening with it.
No,
I do wish that I watched this the way that I watched the original, meaning I didn't know what was going to come, because I think I would have been able to not be focusing on like a comparison between the two and more just being engaged in the actual tale.
Right. I appreciate that with this too. For being a horror film, they didn't seem to rely solely on jump scares as much. Like it wasn't too excessive or over excessive. So I appreciate that about the film. Performances I thought were great. You mentioned with Finn Wolfhard playing young, like the Richie, that his he himself, like characters that he plays, seem to annoy you slightly. I felt that without Richie's character in this movie, there wouldn't really be that comic relief.
So that character needed to be there.
He needed to be like as annoying as he was.
Yes, I suppose the portrayal by that particular actor. I haven't enjoyed him in a lot of the roles that I've seen him in.
Right.
And it's just like that. It's just, he's just not my favorite actor.
Right.
But towards the end, when they really started to get in the thick of it, I started to appreciate that character more so. So I wasn't putting too much emphasis on the actor portraying him.
Right.
It sort of fit. For whatever reason, earlier on in the film, it was almost a distraction for me.
I see.
Him playing that particular role, it just didn't hit for me the way that I suppose it was intended, and the way that it did later on in the film.
Yeah. I think Sophia Willis as Beverly, I think she was my favorite performance in the film, actually. Absolutely. She was, she just had, she dealt with a lot more than them, but I also feel like if we're excluding Bill and the fact that he lost his brother, she was the strongest of them all mentally, because she's endured a lot with her abusive father and whatnot, but she was also kind of like the mother of the group as well too, so she did play a strong part.
This is one of the things that I appreciated about this particular portrayal, and where I think it really surpassed the original. These group of friends seem more believable as this group of friends that are kind of banded together. I think there are some beats that they hit with this portrayal that really worked to make that friendship believable. So if you think about this, it could come across corny, like the power of friendship kills the monster, like that sort of thing. But if you're invested in the friendship, then you can feel.
And you do feel watching this. I think better direction too, maybe, because maybe the director of the miniseries, those kids in those 2 episodes, maybe they didn't really fully understand what their characters were intended to be, or what the story really was. But it seemed like these actors in this film really understood the volume of this. I
think that once again, it was a different time. And especially for portrayal of kids in anything, you expected something different. There was, like I said, especially if you're on a set that's intended for TV. We're talking about the time where sitcoms were king. So people were acting, kind of waiting for the laugh track.
True.
So that's just the way that things were back then. So that's why I said it's not necessarily fair to compare, because the intended audience, or at least the culture of the audience watching, is very different.
Yeah, that's true. I think what's interesting, I just realized as we were recording this, is Pennywise himself, he tends to pray every 27 years is when he comes out to feed. And this movie was actually released 27 years after the miniseries, which I think is really cool. I didn't notice that before.
I'm certain they did that on purpose.
Yeah. I think it was really great at the end, too, during the fight scene, when you actually saw this menacing, him actually being intimidated by the kids themselves when they realized that they're no longer afraid of him. And he grew smaller and smaller, right? Once they kind of banded together. And it was like what Bill said too, like we can only take him when it's all of us together. If we're just separate, he'll kill us one by one.
Yeah.
That Henry Bowers, though, was a major psycho in this one. And it was really hard, first time I watched this, to see him using the knife on Ben when he's cutting his stomach.
Yeah.
And even like the way he punched him in the face twice before that, like that was really extreme and graphic, and that made it very different from the miniseries too.
Yeah,
because it was so much lighter in the form of that, but it needed to have that severity.
There is a balance, as I said. It's for the intended audience. If this is going to be coming into someone's home as opposed to going out and seeing it in the theater, there's an implication that consent comes for the parents, essentially. If you're going out to the theater, you are in charge of if your kids get all messed up. Whereas if it's a miniseries and it's coming into the homes, the people making the movie, usually they have restrictions.
Yeah. As fucked up as Henry was mentally, I like that he was encouraged or possessed or persuaded by Pennywise in the end to kill his father, and then also to go after the kids to kill them too. It's almost like doing the work for Pennywise himself.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really intense. But I do honestly, I really think for the kids, if it's not Bev, which I did say is my favorite character, I really love Mike.
Yes.
Mike is great too. And when he fought back to Henry in the end was fantastic.
This is something that I liked compared to the original. Was, of course, this is chapter 1. I liked older Mike in the first one. I thought younger Mike was almost, he's just like a filler piece.
Yeah.
In the original. This one, he felt like a real character.
He did.
And I appreciated that. That he felt like a real character, so that there were stakes.
Yeah.
Like I said, they felt like a real group of, like this motley crew that just banded together in order to defeat this evil. And it was because the time that they took to develop these characters, it wasn't wasted.
Yeah, true. I also really like too, all these characters, these kids, they had like their own set of flaws and insecurities and what have you, but they really found themselves in the cave when they're, attempting to rescue Bev. And it was great because then they all came out as, different in the end and felt much more accomplished. And now that the second part is going to be coming, where they're 27 years later, now they're grown adults and they'll once again have to reunite.
So the one thing, as you mentioned, this being more graphic, in the original, they didn't show exactly what happened to Georgie. It was just implied.
Yeah.
Whereas in this case, you actually see Pennywise bite into his arm. You see his arm missing. You see him trying to crawl away,
slither away,
and then you see him get pulled into, and then they do the cut.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, well, that's just a rough thing to watch. They were sparing when it came to such things. You're talking about kids.
Yeah.
But even so, just that opening scene in itself was rough to watch. Even more so because that particular child actor did a fantastic job.
He did. I like when they showed him later on too, especially at the end when he's, telling Bill that he loves him and telling him, I want to come back home. Yeah. It was really believable. And I just think like the actors, in general, they had maybe just more leeway to work on their characters and understand the story. Yeah. You also look back to, if you remember like The Shining, the kid, he didn't even know what the movie was. He was told it was going to be like comedy, I'm pretty sure. So it's like maybe with the miniseries, 10 years later, maybe that was just kind of like a thing. If we're making like a film or a series that's intended for a more adult audience, let's try to like keep it light on the kids and not really tell them much about what it is. And maybe that could explain potentially why they didn't have a full grasp on the characters they were playing. But these kids in this movie, they knew what the deal was.
Yeah.
Because especially it's the first part, so it's really all about them. Like they have to sell it.
Yeah. So coming into this, I don't know what feeling I had, but I don't believe that I went into this thinking that I would be very impressed or anything like that, because it's one of those movies that I always knew about.
Yeah.
But it's like clowns, scary clown.
Yeah.
And then when I saw the miniseries, it became more interesting. But even then, I was confused. I was like, what is up with Stephen King?
Yeah.
But then this was just a very well executed movie.
It was.
So I appreciated it on a lot more levels than I thought I would. So it's a pleasant surprise.
But how about your thoughts on Bill Skarsgård though, and Pennywise?
I think he did an excellent job. See, this is the thing. I don't have notes for the original portrayal by Tim Curry. I don't think it was too hammy, too goofy, or whatever. I don't think any of those things, because within that movie, in that context, when he's laughing and he's doing what, that is how things were written back then. They had one-liners.
Yeah.
They had like that. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't this super realism or trying to do any sort of subtlety. It wasn't that at all.
Yeah.
It was, like I said, it being written for TV. TV in the 90s, in 90, was written more like, it's like a live studio audience. That was what it was written as and for.
Yeah.
Those TV movies were all in the same sort of vein. So for its time, it did exactly what it was supposed to do. And he came forward with his performance exactly the way that he needed to within that context. Yeah. I think that if he portrayed Pennywise the way that Bill Skarsgård did, it would have been, I don't think it would have hit within that particular project.
Yeah, I'd also want to mention too, I like with this, yeah, sure, Pennywise is the primary antagonist, but then when you look at Beverly's father, and you look at Henry's father, who was abusive to him, you got two abusive parents there, and you look at that weird, creepy guy at the pharmacy that was that was hitting on Bev and calling her Lois Lane.
Yes.
The adults really seem to be the antagonist in this town.
That's what I liked about this particular movie. It really emphasized that it was the real kind of evil.
Yes.
Were like the older people,
and them like the ones who are to be trusted by these kids, especially Eddie's mom too.
Yeah,
who was a little overbearing.
They were complicit.
Yeah.
Regardless of some monster clown eating kids.
Yeah.
There was nothing that they were doing that would have prevented any of that stuff from happening. They're making it easier.
Right.
You could say it's because there's something in the water. The town is possessed. It doesn't really matter.
The town's cursed.
It doesn't really matter. The adults were really the issue there.
Yes.
The only adults that I saw and that seemed like they weren't a part of that was it his uncle? I don't know.
Mike's?
Yeah. And it's because he's just some blue collar guy. He was homeschooled. So and they're black in some small town in the 80s. So that means they're probably, on their own sort of thing.
Yeah.
And because of that separation, you actually hear an adult sounding like an adult.
Yeah.
Whereas everybody else seemed really creepy and weird.
Yes, and overbearing and controlling. Yeah. But it's just like, these kids, they don't really recognize like that the evil or the wrongdoing of their parents because they trust them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of normal to them. But then they're able to recognize the evil that is Pennywise and know that that's something to be afraid of. Well, overall, for It Chapter 1, I think that it was a really good movie.
Yes.
And I think the story was great. I think the performances were great. There really wasn't a bad note in the film at all. I think everything was on point. I also think that it really tried to remain faithful to the novel.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for this movie, out of 5 jump scares, that I do give the movie a perfect 5.
5 out of 5 for the original?
I think so.
You know what? I think I agree with you.
I was gonna say, if it's not a 5, maybe a 4.5.
I think I agree with you. The reason I say that is because the original didn't quite make it, but one of the reasons it didn't quite make it was because some of the things that were missing that they were able to include.
Mm-hmm.
This one was able to improve upon something.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think you're right.
Okay, so 5.
Yeah.
Mutual 5 jump scares from the both of us for It Chapter 1. Let us know what you guys think about the movie, though. Maybe you think it a little less or have the same rating.
Yeah, it's a classic for sure.
Absolutely. It was watching it in theaters in 2017 was actually the movie that got me slightly interested in horror to begin with, because I was like, this is unlike any horror films that I saw growing up.
Yeah.
So 5 out of 5 jump scares. And make sure, stay tuned for our next episode where we will be reviewing It Chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to miss that. In the meantime, we're signing off. I'm Scary Terry. This is
Rock Horror.
And we are Campfire Spookhouse, where we scare ourselves awake. We'll see you guys next time.